was February 10th. I boarded a plane and arrived in Armonk, New York to meet with colleagues for an innovation workshop. 2 days later, as I was returning to my hotel room, I began to feel a little bit ill. Fever, chills, loss of appetite, and similar symptoms that I now realize were associated with the pandemic that was taking place in other parts of our world. I recovered, but still unsure if I had COVID or not. On March 11th, the World Health Organization declared the novel coronavirus outbreak a global pandemic, and life as we knew it abruptly began to change. People began to hoard toilet paper. Businesses began to board up and close. And the choices of where we could go outside of our own homes became limited. And if that wasn't enough, a video circulated through social media of a 46-year-old African-American man named George Floyd, who died after being handcuffed and pinned to the ground by a white police officer. This ignited large protests in more than 150 American cities and other cities around the world. And some of those cities are still recovering today because of the devastation. 2020, the year everyone labeled the year of perfect vision. Many of us, we articulated at the beginning of the year that this was going to be the year that we launched and we unleashed our purpose and we unleashed our passion. Because this year we had 2020 vision. But to our surprise, early in the first quarter, the crisis interrupted our plans. Good afternoon. My name is Stephanie Brown, and I am a personal growth innovator. I'm also a change agent. And this afternoon, I want to spend just a few minutes with you talking about the other side of a crisis. As we begin, I want you to just relax for a minute. Sit back in your chair. Take a sip of your coffee or your tea. And I want you to reflect back to January of this year. What was the one big thing that you wanted to do in 2020? What was the vision? What was the dream that you wanted to unleash in 2020? Can you see it? Can you hear it? It looks exciting, doesn't it? So have you done it? Have you unleashed that vision? Have you unleashed that dream? If not, why not? Do you still think it's worth pursuing? Do you still think it's worth coming into a reality? What are you going to do with it? What will you do with your 2020 vision? Let's talk about that. As we go through this afternoon, in the next few minutes, I want you to keep that vision. I want you to keep that dream at the forefront of your minds. Because at the end, I'm going to give you a challenge. And I want to see whether or not you will accept it. During a crisis, we unconsciously have one of three mindsets. Either we are in the first mindset, which simply says, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in this. I didn't volunteer for this. I didn't sign up for it. I want out. And then once we kind of get over it and realize that it may hang around for a while, we unconsciously enter into that Second mindset. And that mindset says that I'm tired of it. I want things to go back to normal. I'm tired. I've had enough. But then there's that third mindset. And not everybody operates in that third mindset, because the third mindset says, I accept it. And by faith, I will, or I choose to come out of this crisis a better person than I was when I went in it. That third mindset is a growth mindset. And you see, it is the growth mindset where we can focus on our personal growth. We no longer wish to return back to old norms and old ways. But when we are operating with a growth mindset, when we're living with a growth mindset, we're thinking about new norms, new ways, and we become, as I now call myself, a personal growth innovator. You see, in a crisis, personal growth innovators make decisions that become key turning points for successes in their lives. They no longer allow the crisis to manage them, but they take control and they begin to manage the crisis. They're no longer looking backwards, but it's straight ahead. It's looking forward into new ways and new norms for their own lives, for their families, for their businesses. It's new. It's growing. It's not staying where they are, but it's charging ahead to something better. As personal growth innovators, there are some key actions that we must engage in during a crisis. And I want to leave you with 3 of these actions today. The first one, take ownership of your vision. Take ownership of your vision. Number 2, avoid unnecessary distractions. Avoid unnecessary distractions. And number 3, step out in faith. Step out in faith. Okay, so let's look at the first one. Take ownership of your vision. Personal growth innovators take ownership of their vision. They hold themselves accountable and they commit to seeing their vision come into a reality. You see, they don't look to others. They don't look at others and ask them to do what they're not willing to do. They don't ask others to invest in them when they're not willing to invest in themselves. Personal growth innovators, they see the possibility that their vision represents, and then they take action. They bet on themselves because they know that even if others don't believe in them, they can still succeed. But if they don't believe in themselves, they won't succeed. Personal growth innovators, as I said, take ownership of their vision. They don't compare themselves to others. They don't compare themselves to people who are superior to them, because that'll make them feel inferior. But at the same time, they also don't compare themselves to people who are inferior, because that'll make them feel superior and they still want to accomplish it. But they stop comparing themselves with others, because once they do that, then they feel empowered. John Maxwell says this. He says, success is doing the best that you can with what you have wherever you start in life. When you don't compare yourselves to others, when you don't look what others are, and you take personal responsibility for your vision, you're going to see success. Personal growth innovators, they own their own vision. Are you willing to commit? Are you willing to own your vision? Hopefully you have a piece of paper and a pen in front of you. I want you to think about that for a minute. On a scale from 1 to 10, 1 meaning maybe we'll do the vision in 2020. 10 meaning that you live it, you breathe it. Nights you wake up trying to figure out how you're going to do it. Where are you on the scale? What level of commitment are you making to your vision? Are you at a 1? Are you at a 10? Are you somewhere in the middle? Just take a quick second, think about it, and just write that number down on your paper. Action number 2. Personal growth innovators avoid unnecessary distractions. You say they avoid allowing themselves to be discouraged by others. There are others, and we often refer to those others as dream stealers, vision crushers. They don't have dreams. They don't have visions. They don't want to do anything. But they're very quick to try to stop you, to try to hinder you, to try to put roadblocks in your way, to try to discourage you and tell you why you can't do it. Personal growth innovators don't give time for dream stealers. Those are distractions that they don't need. And so they don't give time to that unnecessary distraction. They also avoid focusing on the past disappointments and hurts. This is another distraction that will get them sidetracked and derailed from what they're trying to do. So they don't focus on the past. You see, they look at disappointments as gaps between expectation and reality. They look at failure not as the end, but they look at failure as a stepping stone to success. See, if we're not careful, the distraction of focusing on the past, of focusing on the failures that we had, the mistakes that we made before we came into this time of crisis, if we're not careful, we'll spend so much time focusing on that distraction that we lose sight of what is in front of us. And the third distraction that personal growth innovators avoid is that they avoid a lack of confidence and a lack of faith. They don't give into that they don't have faith. They don't give into it that they can't be confident and moving forward. They understand that confidence, a level of confidence, a level of faith, it's needed to pursue their dreams and their visions. They understand that even just to talk about their vision, even just to talk about their dream, it takes faith. It takes a level of confidence. You see, when it comes to personal growth innovators, it's not what they see. It's not what they see in the crisis. but it is what they believe that propels them to get to the other side and to see their vision and their dreams come into a reality. So we're going to take ownership of our vision. We're going to avoid distractions. Number 3, we're going to step out in faith. And this one is a little bit harder than the other two because it's our nature to be driven by what we could see, what we could hear, we can taste, what we can smell. But when we are faced to take action and not know what's going to happen, many times that brings in fear. But when we're ready to step out, to pursue our vision, to pursue our dreams, we must have faith. Personal growth innovators recognize that faith is essential to their success. They allow faith to push them and help them to focus forward, not backwards. They recognize that faith is the difference maker, and it's one of their greatest weapons for achieving their goals. You see, faith speaks to them and it says, you can do it, instead of, you'll never be able to do that. Faith allows them to see opportunities, even while in a crisis. See, when they step out in faith, they're also practicing comfort zone abandonment, which basically means that they are stepping outside of their comfort zone, even when they are afraid. They're willing to pay the price to overcome their fears because they know that achieving their dreams and achieving their goals most of the time won't happen in their comfort zone. Because if it did happen there, then they would have already achieved it. But they have to overcome those fears, and they're able to overcome that fear through faith. George Adair put it this way. He said, everything you have, everything that you have ever wanted is on the other side of fear. Let me say that again, because somebody needs to understand that. Everything that you have ever wanted is on the other side of fear. We cannot let fear hold us back and paralyze us to stay where we are. But we must allow our faith to take us to the next step, and the next step, and the next step, until it leads us straight into the dream and the destiny that God has prepared for us. You see, personal growth innovators, they recognize that now is the time. Now is the time to take the next steps. Even though they don't know what the outcomes will be, they can't see them. They have their faith and they have their vision to pursue them. So we've talked about 3 actions, 3 key actions that personal growth innovators must take to be successful on the other side of a crisis. Number 1, they must take ownership of their vision. Number 2, they must avoid unnecessary distractions. And number 3, they must step out in faith. So let me end this session by asking you a few questions. Are you ready? Number one, are you a personal growth innovator? You may say, Stephanie, I'm not really sure what that means. So let me unpack that. Let me break it down for you. If you think about a regular innovator, the word innovator, it simply means a person who introduces new methods, new ideas, or new products. So when you put that with your personal growth, a personal growth innovator is a person who is introducing new methods, new ideas, maybe even some new products or new tools so that they can achieve their personal growth. Maybe you can't go to a university or school or sit in a room with others and learn from them. Maybe you can't participate in live events, where you would normally go to grow. But are you thinking about other things that you can do? Are you thinking about other new ways where you can personally grow yourself? Or are you still in the old mindset that you're tired of this and you just want to go back to normality? Your 2020 vision is free, but the journey to achieve it is going to cost you something. At some point, you have to make a transition from a believer of your vision to a buyer of your vision. You say, Stephanie, I'm just not ready. Well, guess what? You weren't ready for this pandemic, but it forced us to step outside of our comfort zones. It forced us to step outside of our routines. It forced us to do things differently. Who will you become on the other side of the crisis? Are you ready to take a journey? If you are, I'm going to invite you. Join us, myself, and other personal growth innovators, as we gather in a virtual free webinar and we put our dreams and we put our visions to the test. Will you come with us? Thank you for attending today and have a great day.